everyone. This is Shooting, and welcome to our video series highlighting our vibrant Kyverno community members. If you just joined us, welcome. This video series is meant to highlight our members, from the people who maintain the project, like Chip Zoller, our very first guest of the series, and I'm also super excited to be speaking with Trey Dockendorf, another maintainer of the project and our guest for today. The goal of the series is really to highlight the members of this community and how they got started on their cloud native Kubernetes journey with Kyverno. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Trey, how are you?
Doing good, thanks.
All right. Why don't we take a minute for a quick introduction for those that don't know you before and your role with Kyverno?
I'm Trey Dockendorf. I work for the Ohio Supercomputer Center. I'm a systems engineer there, and I maintain the Kubernetes deployment. I very recently became a Kyverno maintainer, mostly handling the Helm deployment, but also doing other odd and in changes.
Cool. With your role in Kyverno, can you tell us a bit more about that? What are you focusing on right now? Mostly.
Yeah, right now it's mostly just Helm deployments. I know early on I did some changes that were mostly specific to just issues I faced or changes I wanted to see that would have benefited our organization.
Right. I think we have a few run of discussion about changing the CRD back and forth and all the stuff. We'll get back to that later. And how did you get involved with Kyverno community? Where did you hear us?
Honestly, it's been years, so I don't remember exactly where I heard about it. I think it was like a random newsfeed article on my phone or something. But we were actually in the process of adopting Kubernetes for some of our workflows, and we have a hard requirement that our users be allowed to use Kubernetes, and we had to do that securely. So we were evaluating policy engines, and before we found Kyverno, all the engines we found, they just seemed, I don't know, they did not satisfy our requirements. And once we found Kyverno, we kind of just stuck with it. At that point, we stopped evaluating everything else, and it met all our needs and was real easy to maintain and all that. So stuck with it.
Awesome. So you're saying, are you currently running Kyverno, or just your end users or the customers trying to use Kyverno?
Oh yeah, so we maintain the Kubernetes deployment, and we use Kyverno to ensure certain security policies. Our users, through an application we develop, are allowed to submit pods to Kubernetes, and we do certain security things to ensure those pods are secure, and we use Kyverno to do that.
Awesome. With your different use cases and all the support in Kyverno, what are you most excited about?
For our organization, I'm most excited to get this rolled out to more people. Right now, we've just rolled it out to classrooms and virtual classrooms, and most of those users don't actually know they're using Kubernetes. So we've abstracted that away from them in a web portal. We are going to start working on more complex policies to allow potentially our users to run web services themselves, or expose it more directly to them to run Kubernetes deployments. So when that happens, it's going to be exciting to see what kind of policies we can come up with to do it securely, essentially becoming almost like a infrastructure as a service type deployment internally.
Wow, that sounds really awesome. Mostly you're trying to use Kyverno to, enforce the configuration by using the validate policy, or is there any other use cases?
Yeah, right now we're using almost all validate policies. We haven't had enough use cases to adopt any mutate policies yet. I think I had one I was using to enforce image pull policy on latest images or something, but we actually went away from that and just enforced people don't use latest images. But so we mostly use validate policies. Our policies right now are mostly around ensuring, the way we run our pods is a user's pod will run as their UID. So we actually use Kyverno to enforce that the UID they requested is what their UID is in LDAP. So we have this way to ensure that they're doing, because we also allow them to access our shared file systems and all those things. And so yeah, we also have some policies in place to kind of guard against sysadmin mistakes. So we don't allow people to deploy web services without SSL or TLS. We don't allow user or any sysadmins to deploy load balancer services besides the one that we support. So we have a lot of those came from the Kyverno policies repository.
Hey, those are really interesting use cases, right? And like I know you're like currently mostly focusing on the ham deployment, but like do you see if there's anything that we can improve next for the ham deployment process, or any other things that you see like you would expect that would happen in Kyverno next in the near future?
I think the only outstanding thing is, it actually might not even be an issue anymore, is the Prometheus deployment or the Prometheus metrics uh, with HA deployments. But that might have solved itself. But yeah, with Helm, I don't know. I feel like we're in a good spot with the way that Helm deploys. I know there's been some growing pains as we kept changing things, but
Right.
that those were mostly limitations with Helm and just how to make the experience better. Um, I don't know. It would be interesting to see if there's ways to improve the experience a little bit more. 'Cause I think a lot of that comes down to seeing how other sites are doing it. Because I've seen some deployments where they use the old method of certain CRDs, and I just I I don't know. It's a trade off, but I think right now it's in a good spot. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything in particular though that would be good to improve.
Right. I think there is one ongoing discussion around, if you're using Hem by default, Hem doesn't handle the CRD upgrade when you do
Right,
like upgrade. But I know, like, I get to know from that conversation, some of the GitHub tools like Flux City or Argo City, I couldn't recall
right,
exactly, but they do handle like CRD updates. So that kind of, conflict of our purpose of adding CRD as another like just another normal type of resources in ham
right.
deployment. So yeah, I guess those are the interesting things we probably need to figure out, and how to make those like flow more smooth for the users while they're
Yeah,
deploying using ham.
yeah, definitely. And I've seen some projects use third-party tools, kind of like how Kyverno uses Customize, but things like that to kind of generate the Helm chart. And yeah, I just there are things that I think would be neat to try out in the future.
Cool, awesome. All right, I think that's all the questions I have for today, and that's probably all the time we have as well. By the way, need to get back to the project. And I want to thank Trey. Thank you for hanging out with us and sharing your journey.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for checking us out. Our community is growing. And if you want to get involved, join our Slack channel, start using Kyverno, and of course, you can also become a contributor to the project as well. Thanks. And I'll see you on Slack. Thank you, everyone.